Habits built over time can be the habits that can change our life for the better, but the only way you will ever know is by actually doing and not just wishing. So by implementing routines, staying consistent, and being more aware of what we do, we can easily find habits that will benefit us in the long run. Hello everyone, my name is Pamela, and today we're going to be talking all about habits to change your life. There are so many micro and macro habits that you can add into your life that can truly change things for the better, and by establishing habits and making them part of your routine and building systems for them, you can see amazing results just like some of the ones that I'm going to be talking about today. I want to break this video down into 3 separate categories for the kinds of habits that you can start implementing, which are health/wellness, finances, and lifestyle. And these are some very generic and general tips, but truly they can make a world of a difference. So let's get started. I am so excited to dive into these tips and these habits because these are things that I have actually been doing in my life over the past few months that I have seen really great results from. And I wanted today to just be a comfy, cozy vibe. It's raining outside and I'm just like, I want this to be a fun, cozy little vibe. So grab your favorite drink, grab a little snack. Let's talk about some habits that are really going to help you. So first, I want to dive into health/wellness. And when it comes to doing anything in life, you should really care about your body and what you're putting into it. So think about the way that you're moving, how you're prioritizing things that are for you, and just knowing like when your body is tired and you don't have the energy or you're not feeling good, it can really pour into all other aspects of your life, which isn't good if it's negative. So if you are sleeping a lot and you will have a lot of energy, it is going to show up in other areas of your life. If you are tired, maybe you're not drinking a lot of water, maybe you're sleeping a little bit late, that can also pour into other aspects of your life. So that takes me to tip number 1, which is go to sleep early. You need to prioritize sleep, and when you sleep and you rest, you are going to see amazing results, not just in your health, but also mental health, exercise, like everything just starts to go up. And I actually have an example of this. My sister is someone who I talk about a little frequently on this channel, but she is a night owl. I'm an early bird, and she loves to stay up late, like watching movies and doing things. And I always tell her, you need to get rest. You need to let your body just recharge. And the other day she went to sleep at I think like 9:30, woke up at 7, and she looked, when I tell you guys, like she literally looked so energized and she looked like she was ready to take on the day. I told her like that is what has been missing from you. That is what you needed. You needed one day to literally just recharge. And she said it herself, like she also felt like a completely different person and she was just ready to take on the day. So when you don't give your body the rest it needs, it just pours into all other parts of your life, and you may find yourself getting that midday slump, which can honestly be avoided by just having a strict bedtime and following it. And I have a whole video on how to build a good night routine, because without a good nighttime routine, it can truly ruin your mornings. And that actually takes me into the next tip, which is wake up early. By waking up early, you get a head start in the day, you have more time for yourself. And for me, the biggest thing that I noticed is the later I woke up during the day, the harder it was for me to get things done. So if waking up early doesn't make sense for you, do not try to force it, because I got a comment on one of my videos where someone said that they don't need to wake up at 6 a.m. They literally can get all of their things done by just waking up at 8 or 9, and that is perfectly fine. That's totally okay. I also say this in my other routinely videos, is if things don't make sense for you, don't add it into your routine. If things are not making sense for you, like if it really just does not add or flow into the things that you do every day, there is no need to do it. You truly should just be doing things that are benefiting you and that make sense for you. So if you don't have to be up at 6 in the morning or be up before the sun is out, that is perfectly fine. Everybody has different schedules, so really just add into things that work for you. And for me, I just noticed my day would go by so quick if I didn't wake up early and try to get things done that were for me, because throughout the rest of the day, as people start calling and texting and emails come in and meetings happen, I have less and less time to do things that were on my personal agenda. Next is get some form of movement throughout the week and find what works for you. I used to hate exercising. I used to hate moving my body. I genuinely did not like it. Ever since middle school, I hated gym class and just doing anything that had to do with sports. Like I am not an athletic person. As I got older, I started realizing that it is important to move your body, especially if you are like me, where you sit all day in front of the computer or you're on your phone making videos and doing content. You need to be out and moving your body. And there are so many benefits to not just exercising and running and doing cardio, but also just walking and doing low intense workout. My personal favorites are walking and indoor cycling. Indoor cycling is great because I really get that cardio. I'm also friends with all of our instructors at Cycle Bar. And with walking, I get to combine two things that I really like to do, which is obviously being outside, being outdoors and walking, but also listening to podcast episodes and listening to YouTube videos and interviews that are really beneficial and that are also informational and educational. I knew that I loved listening to interviews and YouTube videos, but I didn't really like exercising that much, and so I started combining the two together. And if there's some days that I didn't want to go to Cycle Bar, I was like, I can just walk during the day, either early in the morning or I can go to the park in the afternoon. I want to be the person when I'm older that I'm still able to run and walk and bike and exercise, and I can still move and do all of these things even at an older age. And so I always think long term when it comes to exercise. I'm like, what can I do now that can just keep me in shape and also keep my body flowing and moving and going? The last wellness inspired tip that I have for you guys is have less sugar and drink more water. Now listen, before you are like, I want to skip over this tip, this isn't really helpful for me, it's too generic, let me tell you guys, when you look at how much added sugar and processed sugar is in things, you are actually going to be shocked at what it is that you are consuming every single day. A few months ago, back in May, I was going to Italy. I was going on this little end of the semester graduation trip, and I knew that I was going to be having a lot of gelato, that I was going to be having a lot of ice cream and little fun foods, and I was like, I want to test myself. Like a few weeks before I go to Italy, I want to test myself and see what can I do in terms of discipline with sugar. I started looking at added sugar and things that I was consuming every single day, and when I tell you guys, I was shocked at the amount of things I was consuming that were literally so bad for me. I could not believe it. And it's because I had no care in the world. I was putting anything that I wanted into my body, and I just thought, because I'm working out, it's perfectly fine. I can have McDonald's at 10 o'clock. I can have a caramel coffee. I can keep having these gigantic muffins and orange juice and cranberry juice, and it's perfectly fine. And soda, like, I truly was just so bad with it. And so when I started looking at what I was consuming, things started changing for the better. My skin was the biggest difference. During that time of the month, right before my period comes, I was noticing that I would get a ton of clusters of pimples on my skin. I would get a bunch of little breakouts. And as soon as I stopped consuming sugar for a few weeks, my skin was so clear. I was literally taking pictures of the results, and I was like, this is absolutely insane. And it's not because of any other factors, because I take really good care of my skin. I have a consistent routine. I'm constantly cleaning and washing my pillows. So I was like, it's not that I'm not taking care of myself, it's because of what I'm putting into my body. And obviously there's natural sugars in so many things like fruit, but when you cut out the things that have literally 40 to 50 grams of added sugars, then you are definitely going to see a difference. And also by carrying things around like my Stanley or any little fun cups that have a straw, you are also going to see that it's so much easier for you to drink water during the day, because when you have a straw, I feel like you literally just feel like you can grab it and drink and put it down and grab and drink in between work or doing things during the day, or when you're going on a drive, you can literally just bring your cup with you. So put all of these things into consideration and really test yourself. Like, see if maybe for 2 weeks you can have less added or processed sugar, and the difference is going to be crazy. Now we are moving on to the lifestyle portion. So tip number 1 is committing to consistency. Commit to what you can do every day and build small habits. My biggest problem, like I said earlier in the video, is that every time I wanted to do something, I would be consistent for a little bit, then I would fall off, be consistent again, then fall off. And I really wanted to test myself and see, what can I do that can actually stay in my life and that I can stick with? And it wasn't until July that I truly tested myself. And I've said this in other videos, but July was a really life-changing month for me, because I really started to tap into my work and my habits and routines and things like that. And in 1 month, I was able to drive my channel to monetization and hit that final mark. I was able to grow almost 1,000 subscribers, and so many amazing things happened. I was featured in Forbes. I got a ton of really cool partnerships and deals with brands. I literally was just putting in the energy and the work and the time and the discipline into all the things that I'd always wanted to do. And in 1 month, so many things flourished, and I was like, honestly, anything is possible. And it gets you excited because you're like, what else can I do? Like, what else can I do to test the limits? So when you commit to being consistent with your habits, you are going to learn to love it, because that is exactly what happened to me. And this can change your life, because when you realize that you are actually capable of getting things done, then you realize that life is truly limitless and you can get so many things done. You can honestly do anything, but you have to be consistent. You have to tell yourself every day and have something in your mind that is keeping you going, whether that's watching motivational YouTube videos, whether that's having role models or having quotes plastered all over your room, having a vision board, whatever it is, have something that keeps you consistent and that is in the back of your mind, so you know, I can truly do this and I can make whatever it is that I want happen. The next tip that really changed my life for the better was having a positive/growth mindset. So having a positive mindset and constantly growing every day can make you into a stronger and happier person. I used to be the person that compared myself to everything and everybody online, and I used to dream of having a totally different life. I used to wish that so many things in my life were different, but the difference between the me now and the me then is that I actually acted upon it. If I would have stayed the person that I was 4 to 5 years ago, and I would have never changed and started implementing things into my life and trying to be different and making my goals happen, then I literally would have been a completely different person. I would not be making these YouTube videos. I would not be a content creator. I would not have gotten the chance to work with such amazing brands. And it's truly because I looked at this mindset that I had and I was like, how can I make this better? And how can I truly live up to the future version of me? I stopped doing a lot of mindless things that I was doing previously, like scrolling online and just having super lazy days where I did nothing. And obviously lazy days are good when it comes to recharging and resetting, but when you start to see a difference in the way that you take action and that you're actually seeing real results, it makes you excited because you wonder, like, what else can I do? And being a positive person, that makes you someone that people want to be around. If you are constantly negative, or you're complaining, or you're talking about people online, you're always gossiping and there's always drama with you, or you just choose to look at the world in a negative way, you are going to attract that kind of energy back. Like, everything is really what you give is what you get. If you are constantly being mean or putting people down or being negative to yourself too, that is going to come back at you. So why not wake up every day and be happy and have a smile on your face and wonder, today is a brand new day, I can make anything happen. You get to write your own story. You are the writer of your own book, so why not make this a book that you would want to read? Next is reading and journaling. This is probably one of the biggest things that changed my life. I started my reading journey back in 2021. I first picked up this Colleen Hoover book because everybody was talking about her, and I was like, let me just see what the hype is all about. And that was the book that honestly got me into reading. It was because it made me fall in love back with what I was doing when I was a child. Like, I loved to read when I was younger. I loved going to the Scholastic book fairs and buying books and reading all of these random things. Like, I loved doing that. I've been reading now consistently ever since 2021, and it's because I just decided to pick it up one day. I saw people talking about it, but I was like, I loved reading when I was younger. Now that I finally have implemented it into my everyday routine, it has been so amazing. And I read all kinds of books now, like romance, business books, fantasy. And when you journal, you also get the chance to have this time portal from your own writing. And I have journals from when I was in middle school that I look back on, and when I read them, I get to see my handwriting and the things that I was going through during that time, maybe friendship stuff or things happening at school or at home. And it makes me feel really nostalgic and bittersweet because I'm like, wow, like, this is how pure life was back then. And journaling also just lets you get your mind off of what is currently going on in your life, and you get to just have all of your thoughts that run wild throughout the day in one place. And more importantly, there is no limitation when it comes to reading or writing. You can read as much as you want, you can write as much as you want. It truly is just between you and your mind, and I think that that is such a beautiful thing, and it can really just take us away from the daily stress of what happens in our everyday lives. Spending less time on social media is something that I've been really strict on with myself, because when you scroll all day, you genuinely feel so lazy and you think, wow, like, I just spent an hour of my time, I was just scrolling on my phone doing whatever. So I started translating that into things that I could be doing instead of doing more mindless things. So for example, instead of scrolling for an hour, I can get through a huge chunk of my book for that hour instead of just scrolling online. And it's really just about having a strong and disciplined mindset to be able to tell yourself, like, put the phone down, let's not scroll, let's go and do something productive. And scrolling is great if you're a creator and maybe you want to get research done, or maybe you want to send your friends funny videos. But if you really want to make more time out of your day to do things that are for you, and you notice that scrolling or being on social media is taking up a big part of that, then you need to start switching that out for other things. And so I started giving myself a strict timeline during the day of when I can be on social media and when I can't. And the reason why I did this for myself is because I'm a content creator. So for me, I can scroll online for hours and find inspiration, but then I can literally just feel so icky after, because I'm like, oh my God, I just spent all day on Instagram and TikTok. I try not to go on it before 10 a.m. and I've been really strict about this. I just want to have my mind during the morning to just focus on me and things that I have to do. And then I don't like to go on it past 8 p.m. because that is time that I want to read and journal, and that is what I do every single night, and it has been really, really helpful. But the more you look at what others are doing, the more it gets into your head, and the more you think that you have to start changing your life, when in reality, you need to just do things without the influence of others. You need to do things that are just for you, and being online too much can really start making you think that you need to start implementing and doing all of these things that you're probably not even interested in the first place, but you're doing it because you see other people doing it and you kind of just want to copy them, when that is not good. The next habit is time management skills and hobbies. So by having days planned out, or certain days where you get certain work done, you are going to see a huge difference in your productivity levels. You are not just going to get more done, but you are also going to have more time during the day to focus on hobbies and things it is that maybe you never got around the chance to do. So I like to time block my day and break down each hour or hours of the day to get things done. I use Asana for all of my daily planning and my content planning because it has just been great for me. I get to write out ideas, I get to move content days around, plan YouTube videos or podcast episodes, all those kinds of things. And I also use this app called Habit. It's not sponsored, but I found it on the App Store, and I use it because I just want to keep track of daily habits that I'm doing, and I'm also really big on monthly reflecting. So I like to look back at the end of the month and see how many times I did a specific habit and what can I improve for the following month. And with hobbies, I cannot recommend this enough. I want to do a whole video on how people need to get back into having hobbies and doing something that is fun with their life, that doesn't rely on other people or using a lot of money, because I used to be the person that was obsessed with hyper fixating on a hobby, and then I would do a ton of research on it. I would buy all of the things, and then a week later I would literally just forget about it and have no interest in it whatsoever. So you have to find things that you actually love and touch back into the things that you loved doing as a child. I knew that when I was younger, I loved to read and I loved to write, and so I was like, how can I tap back into that as an adult? So I started buying more books that I'm interested in, like romance books and fantasy books and business books, and I now incorporate a little part of that into my everyday to read. Same thing with journaling. I loved journaling when I was younger, so I went to Target and I bought a journal, and now I use that every single night. All of these things, like, they're really just an outlet for me to not have to think about what else is going on in the world, but you truly have to go back into that version of yourself and do things that are for you. The last lifestyle tip is monthly goal setting and reflecting. So I have a few videos on goal setting and how to achieve goals, making a vision board, all those kinds of things. And I also have one where I break down my monthly Canva deck, and this reset deck has been my savior for the past few months. I've been using this ever since May, and it's been a great way to track things that I do during the month, but also hold me accountable to them, because that's the one thing that I feel like a lot of people fall off on, is they write down goals, but they never actually go through with them and hold themselves accountable to get it done. So for reflections, I like to keep track of my highlights for the month. What did I learn? What do I want to improve for the following month? And for monthly goals, I also like to break it down into 4 categories, which is self-development, social media, routine, and intentions. And by having all of these different things like highlights and things that I want to improve, all of those things, it really helps me make sure that I get my goals done. So I make a set plan and I actually implement it into my routine. So I can say that I want to journal every day, but if I don't actually find time to fit it into my schedule, I will never do it. I can say that I want to read more, but if I don't actually give myself an amount of books I want to read during the month and put it into my everyday routine, then I'm never actually going to read. So by doing these small things, you can actually get things done and make each month better than the last. And by reflecting, you can bring ideas into what you want the next month to look like. So have your vision board to just keep you on track for where you want to go in life, and just always stay focused and disciplined, and remind yourself to go back to this deck if you ever find yourself getting off track. We are now getting into the last category of today's video, which is finances. And this is something that I just started getting into recently. Over the last few years now, I really started caring about credit scores and credit cards, all of those kinds of things. And I do a little bit of financial advice and like content over on my TikTok. I have a few generic tips that I think could be really helpful for you guys. So obviously, budgeting your income and tracking what is going in and out. This is a habit that is so micro, but can really affect your life and really just make things better for you in terms of how much you're spending and how you can save more. Buying coffee out and buying food out was the biggest problem. Just because a McDonald's meal is $5 or just because your favorite coffee place is having a special does not mean you need to be going out every single day or every time you go out into the car and spending money on food. For me, coffee was the biggest thing, especially when I was commuting and going to college in New York. If I didn't have time to have breakfast, I would visit Dunkin' Donuts every single morning. And so I finally started realizing, like, you don't need a coffee machine to make coffee at home. You can literally just buy some sort of mix and then put milk in it and it tastes just as good. And obviously it doesn't taste the same as my iced caramel latte from Dunkin', but it is still very good. So try to just look at what is going in and out of your account. And that takes me into the second tip, which is live below your means. Try to get things that make more sense for your money. So I'm not saying buy the cheapest thing, because sometimes the cheapest thing doesn't always equal to being the best, but try to just make more sense of your money. For example, I go to Costco a lot more than I go to Target, because sometimes things at Costco are bigger, and even though you can only spend a few more dollars, I think it's a little bit better than going and buying something at Target that is a lot more expensive. Same thing with certain groceries. If you can buy them in bigger, but they're only $1 or $2 more at a place like Costco or BJ's, then that makes a little bit more sense. So try to buy things that are actually worth it with your money. And when you're going out with friends or you have plans, don't feel like you need to say yes to everything, because that for me was a problem. Is I always felt guilty when my friends would invite me somewhere, or if there were plans and fun things happening and I would be the friend to say no. But if you know, like, in your heart there is no need for you to go out because you know you're going to spend money, then don't feel bad for saying no. Like, there's always going to be plans, there's always going to be that club, there's always going to be that time for you to go out. But I'm not saying completely cut out going out with your friends, because obviously you're young, or whatever age you are, you only have one life, so live it. But at the same time, be a little bit more wary of how many times you are going out, especially if you are trying to just be in money saving mode. Next is stay up to date on personal finance tips, whether it's by watching other financial content creators online or staying up to date on articles and what is going on in the world. I personally love CNBC Make It. They have really good articles, not just on financial things, but also on other entrepreneurs and business owners. And I love to hear about their story and what is going on with them, how they got started. And so that is personally for me an Instagram page and a website that I love to read up on, by just looking at what is going on in the financial world or things with stocks and the market and saving. That is great just for you to know when is it a good time to invest, when is it a good time for you to open up that Roth IRA and all of those things. And I don't know too much about finances, like I said, I just know the little bit of the basics. But still, it's good to just be updated on your own in case things are happening in the world, or maybe someone asks you, you know a little bit about it. And the last tip when it comes to finances is pay off your debt quickly, or pay off your credit cards quickly. So I'm a really big advocate on paying your credit card at the end of the month. I have an American Express Gold card, and I know that with Amex's you have to pay off that balance at the end of the month. So I make sure that I always do that. And something you can do is set a reminder on your calendar a week before your payment is due and a day or two before the card payment is actually due. So for me, let's just say that my credit card payment is due on the second Saturday of every month. The first Saturday of every month, I'm going to set a calendar reminder that says, okay, next week your payment is due. And then on a Thursday or a Wednesday, I will set a reminder, your payment is due on Saturday. So you can get that second reminder and know I have to pay off this credit card. So just try not to accumulate a lot on your card, paying it monthly, or even just hitting that minimum requirement and a little bit over that is also great. Just because your minimum payment balance is $50 does not mean you should just be paying $50. You should try to be paying a little bit more than that, even if it's $75 or $100. Just always try to go a little bit over it and never hitting the minimum. But those are all of the financial tips that I have for you guys. Like I said, they're a little bit generic. I don't know too much, but these are tips that definitely have helped me when it comes to saving. And I'll throw one more extra tip in here, is to have high yield savings accounts. I have all of mine with Marcus. That's my favorite place to personally have my high yield savings. There's other places like SoFi, and depending on what bank you have, they can also have some high yield savings accounts. But just making sure that you are putting your money in a savings account that has high interest can really help you in the long term, because you are basically getting money for just having your money sit in there. With Marcus, I believe that the high interest is around 4 or 4.1% compared to other banks that have 0.1% interest, which is literally pennies a year. So if you are being a lot more careful about where you're putting your money, and you are making sure that it is sitting in high yield savings that give you actually a couple dollars a month or a little bit more, I personally love Marcus by Goldman Sachs, so doing a little bit of research into that is really great. That is all for today's video. I really hope that you guys enjoyed it. This was a more laid back kind of like rapid fire habits that are essential for your life, or that can be really helpful. So if any of these were useful, or you guys go and do this and you come back, let me know in the comments if you have tried these or you want to start implementing them into your life. And I will see you guys in my next video. I love all of you, all of your comments. You guys are amazing. You guys are the best. We just hit 3,000 subscribers a couple of days ago, so thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.